reflect for a moment on living in a country where the majority of the media sort of treats them as equals. They're both the black sheep. They're both in isolation. So you've got one man standing up for what he believes to be right and standing up for his wife. Now, whether you agree that he's right or not doesn't matter. That is what he's doing. He is standing up for what he believes to be right and standing up for his wife, who he believes to have been treated abominably. Not just by the British media, but also by his own family, who are so terrified of the British media that they wouldn't say boo to a Murdoch goose. And then on the other hand, you've got a pudding of a man, a bread pudding in human form, accused of multiple sexual assaults against a woman who brought a civil case. A man who we know was knocking around with Jeffrey Epstein, a paedophile people trafficker, long after Epstein's crimes had seen him hauled before a court. A man who we know took Jeffrey Epstein to the Queen's favourite house, Balmoral, and photographed him and his partner in crime, Ghislaine Maxwell, on the steps, on a bench that the Queen had famously been photographed in herself. So this milk pudding of a man, this friend of paedophiles, who stayed out of a dock by dint of paying 12 million quid of his mum's money to the woman that had accused him of multiple crimes, he is somehow the yin to Prince Harry's yang, as if the fact that neither of them were allowed to wear uniforms somehow spoke of comparable crimes or comparable offences. I remember watching that, and I enjoyed the coronation, and I've got no particular beef with elements of the royal family, but I remember watching that. I'm a fan of Prince Harry, so I watched that thing at Camp Bastion. I think it was at Camp Bastion, where he was giving an interview to camera, and the siren went off, and he just pulled off his microphone, he jumped up, and he ran towards towards trouble. I know he's in an Apache, or don't hit the deep, but I don't know why. I'm a bit of a sucker for that sort of thing. People running towards danger. It's why I'm a big supporter of the fire service, particularly when they're coming under attack from Tory politicians. Suella Braverman was at it only this week. People who run towards danger, they're not infallible. They've got flaws. They're like the rest of us. They've got failings, but they've got something inside them that most of us haven't got. And I just liked that. And if you told me, and then of course the image of him walking behind his mum's coffin, which he probably doesn't like people talking about. But my God, as someone who's benefited enormously from therapy and suffered a tiny fraction of the trauma that lad must have gone through, that image there, that little boy walking behind it, that coffin, which they made him do. Astonishing to think that when he turned up for his dad's coronation, he was reduced to the same status as his milk pudding uncle, the paedophile's friend. I'm truly breathtaking. But it gets worse. It gets worse. Because, well, not only is the disgraced artist formerly known as Prince trying to win back his £3 million a year taxpayer, you and me funded armed security detail, and not only did Priti Patel stick her not inconsiderable oar in by contacting Panjandrams at the palace on behalf of Andrew after apparently breaking bread with his PR advisor. Unbelievable, really. But we also know now that the royal family itself has embarked upon some form of rehabilitation, not of Prince Harry, whose crime was to stand up for himself and his wife, but of Prince Andrew, whose offence was to spend £12 million of his dead mum's money keeping himself out of a dock where a woman had accused him of multiple sexual offences. It's not Harry that they're trying to rehabilitate. It's not Harry that was sitting in the passenger seat of Prince William's car last weekend when they all drove to church in Scotland. It was the other one. And I can't get my head around it. I truly can't. Marina Hyde, without whom I think many of us would probably have gone mad over the last few years, Marina Hyde writes in The Guardian today with characteristic brilliance about the sheer impenetrable awfulness of it all. She doesn't go in particularly heavy on Harry, although it's inevitable for me, or impossible for me, not to see them in relief to each other. But he's there, in the passenger seat. And first of all, as a feminist, I was pretty outraged that his wife, William's wife, was sitting in the back. Kate, Duchess of something or other, was sitting in the back of the car, while the paedophile's friend is sitting in the front. It's breathtaking, right? Do all fusses die down eventually, asks Marina in this morning's newspaper, permitting the fussy to return to life largely as they knew it, while the public scratches its head and tries to recall precisely which scandal, multi-million dollar out-of-court settlement, Pizza Express branch it remembers them from. Shush! Driven last weekend by Prince William to church near Balmoral, where the Windsors are currently all gathered with two notable exceptions. And I mean, there it is, right? That's truly breathtaking, isn't it? This idea that now, it would seem, they are trying to just casually reinsert Andrew Windsor, the artist formerly known as Prince, into polite society, into respectable society. Truly breathtaking. And of course it takes you back to the image of Harry being sort of treated as some sort of equivalent to his disgraced uncle, and to the little boy walking behind the coffin, and to the abomination, the abominable abuse visited upon him by right-wing media, up to and including Jeremy Clarkson publishing his private fantasies about watching his wife, watching Meghan walk through the streets of the United Kingdom being pelted with manure while everybody shouted shame. I mean, the mornings where we sort of step back a bit from just how crackpot this country has become are the majority. But when you take your glasses off, when you really get stuck in, we're an absolute mess. I mean, these are the people that are the most feted and rewarded members of the UK media. The ones that have got some sort of weird old man obsession with Prince Harry's wife, to the point where they often seem to be talking or writing about nothing else. And yet when the paedophile's friend is driven to church by the future king, they haven't got a single syllable to say about it. I wonder whether you could explain that to an outsider. 03456.
Welcome to Meghan and Harry Tales channel, where we uncover the truth behind the headlines, explore the latest updates on the Sussexes, and separate fact from fiction. Join us as we demystify the stories, challenge misconceptions, and celebrate the journey of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. We live in a world where silence often equals complicity. But what happens when someone decides to speak? Today, we dive into the heart of a controversy so glaring, it forces us to question the very fabric of British society. The British Monarchy, steeped in tradition, shrouded in mystique. For centuries, it has been a symbol of continuity and stability. It holds a unique place in the world's imagination, captivating millions with its grandeur and history. Yet, behind the pomp and ceremony lie human stories. Stories that are often hidden from the public eye. Stories of love, loss and duty. Moments of joy and sorrow that shape the lives of those born into royalty. And sometimes stories of stark contradictions. Contradictions that challenge the very essence of the monarchy. This is one such story. A narrative that delves deep into the lives of two prominent figures. A tale of two princes, Harry and Andrew. Two individuals with shared heritage but divergent paths. Two brothers navigating their royal lineage in vastly different ways. One a symbol of modernity and change, the other a figure mired in controversy. Their journeys, a study in contrast, expose a disconcerting reality within the House of Windsor. A reality that is often glossed over by the media. The monarchy, like nature itself, adapts and evolves. It must to survive the changing tides of public opinion. But some things should remain constant, values that define the very core of the institution, integrity, accountability and a commitment to truth. These are the pillars upon which the monarchy should stand. These are the values we expect from those in positions of power, values that should guide their actions and decisions. Yet the treatment of Harry and Andrew reveals a disturbing disparity, a disparity that cannot be ignored, a disparity that raises profound questions about the monarchy's moral compass and the media's role in shaping public perception, questions that demand answers for the sake of transparency and justice. Prince Harry, once the carefree, rebellious younger brother known for his playful antics and spirited nature, now a husband, a father, and a man on a mission to redefine his place in the world. His transformation has been profound, marked by significant milestones and personal growth. Harry's journey has been one of self-discovery, filled with moments of introspection and revelation. He has bravely spoken out about his mental health struggles, sharing his experiences to help others. The loss of his mother, Princess Diana, was a pivotal moment in his life, shaping his perspective and resilience. And the suffocating pressures of royal life, which often left him feeling trapped and scrutinized. His honesty, raw and unflinching, has resonated with millions, offering a rare glimpse into the realities of royal life. He has dared to challenge the status quo, questioning long-held traditions and expectations, to break free from the gilded cage, seeking a life of purpose and authenticity. His decision to step back from royal duties was met with mixed reactions. Some applauded his courage and desire for independence, others criticized his choices, viewing them as a break from tradition. But one thing is undeniable. His actions have sparked important conversations about mental health, personal freedom, and the role of the monarchy in modern society. Harry has remained true to himself, navigating his path with integrity and determination. He has prioritized his family's well-being, his mental health, and his own personal growth, making choices that reflect his values and his own personal growth, continually seeking ways to better himself and contribute positively to the world. This authenticity, this willingness to be vulnerable, has endeared him to a new generation who see in him a relatable and inspiring figure, a generation yearning for authenticity and compassion from its leaders, finding hope and inspiration in Harry's journey and his commitment to making a difference. Prince Andrew, the Duke of York. His story is one tinged with controversy. Accusations of impropriety have dogged him for years. His association with Jeffrey Epstein, a convicted sex offender, cast a long shadow over his reputation. These allegations are serious and deeply troubling. They strike at the heart of public trust. Despite the gravity of the situation, Andrew has maintained his innocence, yet his responses to the allegations have been widely criticized. His attempts to explain away his association with Epstein have been met with skepticism, and his disastrous BBC interview only served to further tarnish his image. The questions remain unanswered. The shadows of doubt linger. Section 4. Rehabilitation and Repercussions. The contrast between the royal family's handling of Harry and Andrew is stark. Harry, who sought a less restrictive life for his family, was met with resistance. He faced intense media scrutiny and public criticism. The royal family, it seemed, was quick to close ranks and protect its own image. Andrew, on the other hand, has been embraced back into the fold. Despite the ongoing controversy, he has been seen at royal events standing alongside the Queen. This disparity in treatment speaks volumes. It suggests a hierarchy of scandal, where some transgressions are deemed more forgivable than others. This begs the question, what message does this send to the public? What does it say about the values the monarchy truly upholds? Section 5. Media's Murky Mirror. The media plays a powerful role in shaping our perceptions of public figures. It can elevate or destroy reputations with the stroke of a pen. In the case of Harry and Andrew, the media's coverage has been telling. Harry's every move is scrutinized, his words dissected, his motives questioned. Andrew, meanwhile, has enjoyed a relatively easy ride. The media's coverage of his scandals has been muted in comparison. This discrepancy is troubling. It suggests a double standard, where certain individuals are held to a different set of rules. This preferential treatment raises questions about the media's own biases and its willingness to hold powerful figures accountable. Section 6. O'Brien's Clarion Call. James O'Brien, the renowned broadcaster and commentator, has been a vocal critic of this double standard. He has consistently called out the hypocrisy surrounding the treatment of Harry and Andrew. O'Brien's voice is important. He cuts through the noise and speaks truth to power. His insights are sharp, his arguments compelling. He challenges us to look beyond the headlines and question the narratives we are being fed. O'Brien's perspective is a reminder that we, the public, have a responsibility to demand better from our media. We must be critical consumers of information, questioning biases and demanding accountability. Section 7. A Time for Truth. The contrasting narratives of Harry and Andrew expose a deeper truth about the monarchy and the media that surrounds it. Their stories highlight the stark differences in how the media portrays members of the same family, revealing biases and hidden agendas. It reveals a system where image often trumps integrity. The carefully curated public personas mask the complexities and flaws of those within the institution, where power shields the privileged. The influence and authority of the monarchy create a protective barrier, often insulating them from the consequences of their actions. It is time for a reckoning. The public's growing awareness and demand for accountability signal a shift in societal expectations. A time for transparency, accountability, and a commitment to truth. Institutions must evolve to meet the demands of a more informed and critical populace. We must stand with those who dare to speak truth to power. Their bravery in challenging the status quo is essential for progress. We must demand better from our institutions and those who lead them. The call for reform is not just about the monarchy, but about all structures of power. Let us celebrate Harry's courage, his willingness to challenge the status quo. His actions inspire others to question and seek the truth. And let us hold those in power accountable for their actions, regardless of their titles or lineage. True justice knows no hierarchy. It is time for a new chapter, a chapter that embraces change and prioritizes the values of honesty and integrity. A chapter defined by honesty, integrity, and a commitment to a fairer, more just society. Together, we can build a future where truth and justice prevail.